Hey everyone, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More, and I'm doing another real estate investing video today. I'm going to talk about how to calculate the cash flow on a rental property. So I'm on my site, investformore.com, right now, on my rental property cash flow calculator that I created. So I'm going to walk you through that, plug in a couple of different properties in there, talk about my market, some other markets, and kind of show you the basics on how to evaluate a rental property to see if it'll actually make money or not, which is what's important. I know a lot of people, you ask them what a good rental property is, they might look at the economy or the schools or jobs, which are important, but you really need to know if it's going to make money first. That's the bottom line. Awesome schools, awesome economy, that's great. But if you're losing money every month and it's just draining your pockets, that's not a good rental property. So we want to evaluate how much money it'll make, what expenses to look at, and how to estimate how it will do in the future. So this is my site, investformore.com. The number 4 spelled out. I have quite a few things on here. First off, I'm going to get the home page right there. About me, you can learn how I got started. The blog, that's where all my articles are. I've got like 450 free articles on the site. So lots of information there. My resources, lots of information on the basics of investing. My coaching programs are under this Real Estate Investing 101. If you want to see my fix and flips, I've got 17 going at the moment. I post videos of all of them, the numbers on all of them under my fix and flip property scoreboard. Resources to find lenders, glossary of real estate terms if you don't know what they all mean, like ARV, which is after repaired value, things like that. Don't worry, I didn't know a lot of those things as well when I first started. I do a weekly podcast, so you can find all the episodes there, listen to them, or read a transcript of them right there. We have a forum, and here is where calculators are. So I've got my cash flow calculator, my cash on cash calculator, and a fix and flip calculator, all right here to help you figure out what a good rental property is. This is not the only tool you should be using, obviously, but this is a tool that can help you out. Of course, members, for people who are in some of my coaching programs, we've got some additional resources for you. And the shop, if you want to check out my coaching programs, different things I've got going on, that will take you there. So here we are on the rental property cash flow calculator. I give some quick information on what it does, how it works. You can kind of skim through all of that. Of course, if you want to check out my book, my rental property book link is right there. And then some instructions. So I have created a couple tables for maintenance and vacancy. That will help you determine what your maintenance and vacancy expenses might be when you own the property. There's no set maintenance you'll have. There's no set vacancies. You just have to estimate what those costs will be. Some people do and do not estimate those very well. If you run to some turnkey properties, they may leave those out to make them look better than they really are. But you should always figure for maintenance and vacancies. So I'll show you how to use those. For mortgage rates, I like to use bank rates mortgage calculator. I'll show you that when we do some numbers here and plug them in. But any mortgage calculator which tells you what your payment will be on an amortization schedule will work. And then, of course, you need to know taxes and insurance, which sometimes Zillow tells you if you have MLS access, your real estate agent can see the MLS. That should tell you what taxes are. Insurance, you may have to have, talk to insurance agents, have some experience in your market, what insurance rates might be, because insurance can vary greatly depending on your market. I'm in Colorado. We have a lot of hail here. So while we don't have hurricanes, we don't have, flooding usually once in a while, we do have a lot of hail, and that causes our insurance rates to be a little higher. We also have tornadoes here, but it's very rare that a tornado does damage. Now, if you go to other areas like Florida, getting hit by hurricanes recently, you're going to have hurricane insurance, maybe flood insurance. Your insurance costs will be much higher there. If you go to an area, maybe in the Midwest or the East Coast where there's not so much hail, not as much flooding, you might have even lower insurance rates. So all depends on the dangers your property has, where it's at, what your rates will be. And property taxes also vary greatly from state to state. In Colorado, our property taxes are extremely low. On a $200,000 house, our property taxes might be $1,000, $1,200 for the entire year. If you go to Texas, Illinois, New Jersey, you will be paying 5 times that, maybe 10 times that in some states. And that can make a huge difference in your income coming in from a rental property or your property taxes. You really have to pay attention to taxes when you're figuring out what your cash flow is going to be, how much money you're going to make. All right, so once you've kind of got all that stuff figured out, here's the actual calculator. You enter what you think the monthly rent will be, your loan costs. It gives you an initial monthly cash flow number, and then we come in and figure your other costs to see what your true final monthly cash flow will be. And then here are those tables I talked about for figuring your maintenance and figuring your vacancy. And we'll go all over that soon. So to start with, I'm going to pull up a property that looked like a decent property to me. So I'm a real estate agent. I have MLS access. I just searched the MLS for one of the best rental properties in my area. I'm in Greeley, Colorado. Now, I have not bought a rental in almost 2 years. It's been 2 years, actually. September of 2015 was the last time I bought a rental. And that's because prices have increased here so much, it's really hard to cash flow with properties. And I'll show you that when we go through this. Prices have doubled or more in my area. Rents have not come close to doubling, not even close. So that's what makes it hard to cash flow. And you'll find that in most areas, the higher the prices are, the harder it is to make money with rentals. But this property, I just searched on the MLS. This is obviously, if you're trying to find a good rental, it might take you more than one day and few minutes searching. Could take weeks or months. But this was a decent price property. It's actually below market value, meaning it's probably worth more than that. And you might ask, well, why is it for sale on the MLS for less than it's worth? Well, we'll go through it. It's been on the market 29 days. That's what this says here. 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, total square footage, 1,366 square feet. Built in 1964, 1-car garage, 0.2 acres, and it's a tri-level. So, maybe we can go through the pictures real fast if you want. Actually, I can make them a little bigger for you. Here we go. Not a horrible house, a little outdated, not very good pictures. You can see it's definitely occupied. And if we go down here and look at the comments, home is leased until May 2018. So that is 8 months from now, this home is leased. They don't tell us what it's leased for, but this is why the house is cheap, because 90% of the people who want to buy this house are going to be owner occupants. They want to move in, they want to live there. If it has tenants in place, that just wiped out 90% of your market to sell to. So the price is going to be more in line with what the rent is, not its actual market value for an owner occupant. I wish we knew what the rent was, but we don't. So that could be another reason why it's cheap. It might be well under market rent. But just scrolling through some of this other information, we'll plug in some numbers. We'll assume what the rent is and see what our actual cash flow is. So the first thing I'm going to do, I know this because I'm in this market, is figure out what the rent is. If you're new to that, that's one thing you should really focus on, is figuring out what rental rates are in your area. I have an article on my blog about how to figure the rental rates, determine those. One thing you can do, let's see here, that's there. If you go back to my calculator, right here, that's a search button. You can search for anything on my blog. So if you plug in kind of determine rental rates, it should pop up with an article that tells you that. No guarantees, because sometimes the words have to be specific, but you can search for anything you want on the site using that little search box. So, but I know from experience, it's a 3-bedroom, built in 1964, not a huge house. That would probably rent for $1,400 a month, maybe $1,500. We'll stretch the numbers a little bit. We'll say $1,500. That's probably a little higher than, I can almost guarantee it's not rented for that right now, but we're just going to do that to make it an even number. So we'll put in here $1,500 a month. If you don't know how to find the rents, like I said, search that article, check Zillow, check Craigslist, talk to property managers in your area to get an idea of what rents will be. loan costs. So now we need to figure out what kind of loan we're getting. So this is where I would go to bankrate.com. And I just searched for mortgage calculator, clicked on their mortgage calculator. That took me right here. So what we can do is, oh, don't play music, Bankrate. That is not cool. Hold on. Okay, that is off. Nothing bugs me more than a website that just starts playing music on its own. Okay. Hopefully my site doesn't do that after I say that. So we're going to assume we're going to buy that house for $200,000. There we go. This automatically calculates 20% down payment for you, which you can change that. But if you're buying an investment property, you're probably going to put 20% down. That's what's going to happen. And that tells you your down payment is $40,000. Now, if you're buying a rental, you'll probably need more than just $40,000. You'll need reserves. You might need to fix it up a little bit. You don't want just the bare minimum. You're probably going to need $55,000, maybe $60,000 to actually buy this $200,000 house as a rental using conventional ways to buy a rental property. There are lots of ways to buy with little money down, but you know, I could keep going on for 3 hours in this video going over everything about rentals. So we're just going to go over the calculator for right now. But like I said, I have lots of resources to figure out, you know, all the other techniques to use. We're going to leave it at 30-year amortization. Interest rate, you are going to pay a higher rate as an investor than an owner-occupant. This is an owner-occupant rate. We're going to put 4.5% in there. Calculate. So this tells us your estimated monthly payment is $810 for this property. So I'm going to go back to my calculator and put in $810. See that? Monthly taxes, monthly insurance. So I'm going to go back over here to the property. Taxes on this house, $758. I told you taxes were cheap here. That's for the entire year. Those might go up because that seems really low, but for right now, that's what we've got. So 758. Oh, it's monthly insurance. We need to divide that by 12. Sorry. Go to my calculator. 758 divided by 12 equals 63. We'll just say 63. Insurance. I would assume the insurance on that property would be around $600 a month in this area. So we'll figure that out. 50. There we go. So the initial monthly cash flow on that property with a 20% down loan, $1,500 a month in rent, is $577 a month. Awesome. That's a lot of cash flow. That's really good. But you're going to have more expenses than that. So this is just the initial number. You got to come back through here and figure out what your other costs are going to be. Maintenance, vacancy, property management, HOA, etc., depending on the type of property you're buying and what those costs will be. So we'll look at maintenance first. Here's my maintenance table, and I kind of made this to help you figure out what the maintenance would be. Again, this can change for the type of property, where you're at, tenants. It's just a real basic table to help you. Don't rely on this for everything. But this house, 10 to 50 years old, pretty close to 50. We'll stick with there. Newly updated, I'm saying you need 10% for maintenance. That's 10% of your monthly rents is how that's calculated. So if our monthly rents are $1,500 a month, you would need $150 for maintenance. So that's assuming it's newly updated. If we went back over there, it has a new roof, has some other things, but it also wasn't completely updated. So maybe we should figure on 15% a month for maintenance. Maybe the furnace needs done. Maybe, you know, some other things need done. It's been rented for a while. There's a good chance it might need some work once those tenants move out when you're trying to re-rent it. So we'll assume it's 15% of your monthly rents for maintenance. So again, go to my calculator, $1,500 times, oops, 0.15, $225 a month for maintenance. That might seem kind of high, but remember, you know, one major tenant disaster, one bad tenant can cost you $10,000 or $15,000. Doesn't happen often, but it can happen. If you need to paint the house, you know, There's $4,000 if you're painting the inside, the outside, maybe more. If you have to replace carpet, there's $4,000 or $5,000. Things go wrong on properties. You have to account for it. You have to assume things will go wrong. Hope for best, plan for worst. So that eats into a big chunk of our money right there when you account for that. Vacancy costs. Now, I'd love it if all of my properties were rented all the time and I had absolutely no breaks and people moving in. That's not realistic. You're going to have vacancies. It's going to happen. There will be times where tenants don't pay. You may have to evict a tenant once in a while. Again, it's rare, but it happens. You have to plan for it. My vacancy table, I kind of went for single family, multi-unit versus college rental. This can vary as well depending on your market, how high vacancy rates are. In most areas of the country right now, we have low vacancy rates, so these numbers are fairly low. You know, if we had a ton of rentals available, you might want to raise these figures. But I'm going to go with 5% for a single family property, which, if we get out my trusty calculator, that's $75 a month. So we'll make that 75, and I'm going to make this 0 just for now. That's property management, just to show you. If we had 20% down, taxes, insurance, maintenance, vacancies, and we were managing this property ourselves, you'd be making about $227 a month. Really not bad. That's not a bad cash flowing property, not horrible, but it's still not amazing. It's not bad. Now, if you have someone managing it for you, maybe they pay 10%, 15%. We're going to assume, not 15%, sorry, 10%, 12%, 8%. We're going to go low. We're going to say we found an awesome property manager who will charge us 8% a month. That's $120. So, property management fees. Okay, now we're down to $157 a month we're making on this property. Not a whole lot of money. Not amazing, but it's still making money. So that's good. But I like to see better returns than that in my real estate. And that's why I stopped buying rentals in Colorado, because I was making $400 or $500 a month per property on this bottom number here. Once I was figuring all my expenses, all my loan costs, and everything. But with prices increasing, that number's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. So we're going to look at something else real fast. I mentioned another calculator, my cash on cash return calculator. So I'm going to open that up real fast. Go down here, remember this number, $157 a month. So here I am at my cash on cash rental property return calculator. And what this tells you is kind of the percentage you'll make on the money you invest in this property. So what we're making every month versus how much money we invested gives us a good idea of what our return is just on cash flow. We might make more money with appreciation, equity pay down, tax advantages, etc., buying below market value, but this gives us an idea of what we make every month based on the money we invest. So, estimated first year annual cash flow. That's that $157 times 12. We're making $1,884 a year. Loan amount. All right, let's go back to bank rate. Oh, we don't want that. Our loan amount was $200,000 was a home price. We're putting $40,000 down, so our loan amount is $160,000. Okay, down payment amount, that was $40,000. Closing costs. So closing costs are typically 2 to 4% of the loan. We have 3% here. Those are loan costs, title costs, things like that. They can vary from state to state, but we'll assume it's 2% here. We'll go on the low side. So you take your loan amount times 2%, $3,200. Seller concessions. Let's say you get the seller to help pay some of those closing costs, chip in some money. So let's say the seller pays those. We're going to convince them to maybe raise the price, or what. We're going to ask for those closing costs to be paid. Maybe we'll get it, maybe not, but we'll assume we will to help lower our down payment. Repair costs. I don't think it needs anything right now, because it's occupied, tenants in place. So we'll say 0 for now, but maybe later it'll need repair costs. But we have that maintenance built into our cash flow. Utilities and other costs during vacancy, that'll be 0 too because it's already rented. You can tell these costs will go up, quite a bit if you're buying a property that needs work before you rent it. You're holding it for a while before it's rented. So we've managed to get away with $40 per $1,000 down. Bare minimum, got the seller to help pay our closing costs, didn't have any repairs, didn't have any utilities. What are we making? 4.7%. Ugh, that's horrible. I want to make way more. My goal when I was buying rentals was to make 15% or more on my rentals with my cash on cash return. That's another reason why I stopped buying Colorado. So, as you can see, rentals are not amazing here. Even though that one's a cheap property, rent to value ratio isn't too bad. You're not making much money. And then the problems really are, one, the house is expensive. It's $200,000, which means you're bringing a big down payment, 40 grand. If that house was 100,000 and you're only bringing 20 grand for your down payment, but you're still making that cash flow, you double this. You'd be making 9%. Much better numbers. So when you get into the expensive properties, it's just much harder to make money on them. And two, the rents versus the values are just not high enough to make money here. So one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through one more property. So kind of a long video, but show you what you can get in a different market. This is a turnkey company I use. If you're interested in talking to them, seeing their properties, shoot me an email, leave me a comment, mark@investformore.com. I can get you in touch with them. But they have properties that, one, you can buy them completely turnkey, which means already rented, managed, repaired, tenant in place, or you can buy them as a pre-rehab, which means you buy the property, you pay for the rehab, then they'll get property management in there, they'll place a tenant, but you can buy it a little cheaper than a complete turnkey, which means sometimes you can build some equity in. Kind of cool. So we'll see what this property looks like cash flow wise. So we're going to plug this into my numbers. Buying the house for $82,000, spending rehab of $27,000. This is a duplex. You can see it right here. I'm not sure if this one is still for sale or not. It might be sold already. They gave it to me a couple days ago. But carrying costs are assuming you have $1,000 in carrying costs before it's rented. Closing costs $2,200. Your total investment $112,000, $355. And you come down here and you can see monthly rent $1,575. All right, right off the bat, you can see this is in Milwaukee, by the way. This property, the rent is more than another property in Colorado we looked at, and your total investment is half of what it was. Huge difference in rent to value ratios. This is why different markets in lower price homes are usually better rentals. Taxes are higher, $117 a month, definitely higher taxes there, but still not crazy. Insurance, sometimes your insurance might be higher on a duplex in a single family home. Their property management number, and they've got all these. So we're going to plug these in to my rental property calculator here. So this is $1,575. Go back here. What we're going to do is assume you can do it two ways. One with them, you could get a loan on the $82,000, put 20% down, or you can pay cash for $82,000 plus the $27,000 and then refinance the house after it's rented. So you'll have less money to bring into it. I'm going to go that route. So I'm going to assume I'm paying cash for it and then refinancing it later. Not everybody can do that, but maybe you can borrow private money, short-term money, hard money loan to do that's a possibility. Or you could just get a loan on that first $82,000. But we're going to go the whole cash and then refinance out. So our whole costs in there will be $112,355. We'll go back to bank rate. We'll just make it $112,000. Our down payment is $22,400. So calculate the rent, or sorry, not the rent, the payment. Our payment is $454. That's a heck of a lot better. So $454 here. Monthly taxes were, what were they? $117. Monthly insurance they had is $75. our initial monthly cash flow, $929. That is so much better than the other one. So the other one was it 500 and some on a house is twice as expensive. All right, go down here to the maintenance costs and we'll figure these. So these can actually be pretty similar on a duplex. I would assume you have 2 tenants, you might have 2, things, wear and tear and all that. I'm just going to assume it's 15% again, which is 236. Boom. Vacancy costs, multi-unit, it takes twice the management. I'm going to go with 10% too, which is 157. So costs are higher vacancy-wise because it's multi-unit. We'll see how that pans out later on. And property management, they had it 125, right? 126, sorry. So look at that cash flow. You've got your maintenance in there. You've got your vacancies, property management costs, and you're still making $410 a month. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. We can take that. We're going to, bear with me, 410 times 12, $49.20 a year. So let's go over to my my cash on cash return calculator. Oh, I already forgot what it was. $49.20. Loan amount. What was that loan amount? It was $112 minus $22,400, which is your down payment. $89,600 is your loan amount. Oops. Down payment was $22,400. Yep. Closing costs. We're gonna make that 0 because we already added those all in to our numbers because we're gonna refinance this after we buy it. Repair costs 0. Like I said, we're gonna pay for those in cash, pay for these in cash, then refinance it later. Cash on cash return, 22%. Oof. I don't know why they have all those little numbers, but they want to be exact right there. Little better return than 4%. That can show the difference in different markets for rental properties, different price points. This really looks like a good rental property. You might have, the downside to a property like that. Might not have as much appreciation buying a duplex. You're buying from out of state, so you might not have as much control about property management, making sure they're doing everything well. But I mean, these are really good returns for a turnkey company. A lot of times you'll see much lower returns, especially cash on cash, especially with a loan. So this company, I like them a lot. They do a lot of stuff in the Midwest, Milwaukee area, expanding, I think some even in Florida. But some of this prehab option is pretty cool, where you can buy the house, pay for the rehab. They handle the construction too. You don't have to find contractors. They handle the construction. They handle the management. They do all of that. So thanks for watching this video. I know it's kind of long, but try to go through as much detail as I can, show you the differences between rentals, markets, all of that, how to use the calculators. Like I said, shoot me an email, mark@investformore.com, if you're interested in getting hooked up with this turnkey company, or you can leave a comment below. I respond to all of those. And I think I am probably going to be investing with them soon to try it out, buy a property from them, see how it goes, and maybe I'll try buying a property on my own, out of state, if I'm my own agent, my own contractor, my own property manager, all of that. We'll see how that goes, see how the two strategies work well together. It'll be tough doing it on my own, but I can figure it out, I'm pretty sure. But right now, Colorado rentals just are not good. And I want to keep buying rentals. I definitely want to keep buying rentals. So I've got to look for new options, new ways to do things. All right. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you check out investformore.com for all my, tools and different things I've got going on. Leave me a comment. Like the video if you thought it was helpful. And we'll have many more coming along soon. Thanks a lot.